All right, boys and girls, we're going to take a shift from multiplying by one-digit numbers to multiplying by two-digit numbers. And this video is going over how to do that with that standard algorithm, that normal procedure that people have been using forever. So let's take a look at this problem here. We have 45 times 39. So you can see that this is a 2 by 2-digit problem. So we're going to go ahead and set it up first. And I am really huge, guys, on making sure that we are lining everything up. So you'll notice that my ones digits are lined up, my tens digits are lined up. We need our multiplication sign, and we need our equal sign. And honestly, guys, two-digit multiplication is the same but different. It's actually going to start exactly the same as we always did. And what we're going to do is you'll notice that usually when we were dealing with one-digit multiplication, maybe we didn't have this 3 here, we only had 45 times 9. Our job would be to use the 9 to attack the 5, and then the 9 would attack the 4. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Step 1 is we are going to multiply the top factor by the digit in the ones place, which in this case is the 9. So for a second, guys, let's ignore that that 3 is even there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, okay, 9 times 5 is 45, two-digit number. I'm going to put the 5 down, and I'm going to carry the 4 directly next door. Now, I'm not done with that 9 yet. The 9 has attacked the 5. Now the 9 is going to attack the 4. 9 times 4 is 36, and of course we need to add the other 4, 37, 38, 39, 40. So because 4 is the last digit, I can put both the 0 from the 40 and the 4. And you'll notice, guys, everything is lined up. If I draw my place value lines down here, they are good as gold. Everything has its place. So what we've just done is actually pretending that the problem was 45 times 9, just a single digit number. But it's not 45 times 9. It's 45 times 39. So now we have to get ready to shift over to use that 3. And that step is really, really important. I call the second step the cleansing step. To cleanse means to clean, and I always clean to get ready for what's coming next. So when we're cleansing, first of all, we're getting rid of everything we're done with. Well, we're done with the 9. We've already used him up. We're done with anything the 9 made. So when the 9 multiplied by the 5, it made 45. So that 4 comes from the 9. We're done with it. And now we're also part of the cleansing step is to get ready to move over to our next step, which is using the 3. The 3 in 39 actually stands for 30. So we need to take that 0 from 30 and put it into our answer ahead of time. That way, we don't have to worry that that 3 is really worth 30. We can just pretend it's a 3. So where that 0 goes, is it going to come into the ones place just underneath where I solved 45 times 9. So this right here is what we got when we did 45 times 9. Underneath that is where we're going to do 45 times 30. So we have 45 times 30 down here. But this 0, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put it in there to already start. We don't have to then worry about it later. So now we're going to move over to that 3. So we'll use red for this. Step 3 is to multiply by the digit in the tens place, which in this case is our 3. Now, we need to make sure this 3 attacks every digit in 45, going back all the way to the beginning. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is why lining up is so important, we're going to go 3 times 5. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. We already have a 0 in this place value. So the 5 from the 15 is going to go here. And then the 1 is going to go directly next door. Since 3 times 5 is 15 and that 5 was in the ones place, that 1 is going to go directly next door. And maybe you can start to see why we needed to cross that 4 off. We don't want it to get confused with using the 1 now that we're multiplying by the 3 here. So I did 3 times 5. My next step is going to be 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12, plus that 1 is 13. And because the 4 is the last digit, I can put the 3 down and I can put the 1 down. And so in this 405 is what 45 times 9 is. And 1,350 is what we get when we do 45 times 30, since that 3 really stands for 30. Now comes a step that maybe will help you realize why we need to make sure we're lining up in our place value spots. And that is, we're going to take these two parts. We know that 30 plus 9 is 39. You can see that's what we're trying to figure out what the answer is, 39 times 45. So now I need to add these two amounts together. So I have 405 and 1,350. I didn't leave myself very much room, so let's try this. 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. And there's really no thousands in this number, so 0 plus 1 is 1. And when I throw my comma in, I get a final product of 1,755. Okay, a lot of steps here. So let's try it again. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you instead, let's do another 2 by 2 just to go a little bit faster. Let's do 93 times 25. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up. 93 times 25. And I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. Okay, so step 1 is we're going to multiply by the digit in the ones place of our bottom number. We're going to attack with the ones. So I'm going to go ahead and grab green for this one. So this is where we're going to work with the 5 only. So we're dealing with 5 times 93. So we're going to ignore that too. So 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1 next door. Now 5 times 9 is 45, plus 1 is 46. And I can just build that out. So what we've done here is we've done 93 times 5. But that's not what the problem is. The problem is 93 times 25, which is made up of a 20 and a 5. So now what we need to do, if you remember, is we need to cleanse our problem. We need to get it ready for the next step. And cleansing is so easy, but it's often forgotten. So cleansing, we're done with the 5. We've already figured out what the product of 93 times 5 is. We're done with anything that the 5 made when we were working with it. And now that we're shifting over to the 2, if you remember that 2 really means 20. So that 0 is going to go in ahead of time. That way, when here we do 93 times 20, we can pretend it's 93 times 2 because the 0 was already placed there. So now we're ready to move to the next step. I'm going to grab a red for that. The next step is we're going to move over to that 2, which is in the tens place. We're going to multiply by the digit in the tens place, which is this 2. And the hardest thing to remember is this 2 needs to attack each of these digits, but it always needs to go back to the ones place first. So we're going to start by 2 times 3, which is 6. Making sure we're lining everything up with the next digit. Now, 2 times 9 is 18. We're not going to add that 1. That was from the last step. That's why we crossed it out. We don't have anything to add here. So 2 times 9 is 18. I'm going to put the 8 down and the 1 over here. Again, we want to make sure we're lining everything up that we can. So now, I need to now take my pieces. These are both of my pieces of my answer. They're called partial products, parts of the product. And of course now we need to add them together because we don't care what 93 times 5 is. We don't care what 93 times 20 is. We want to put those two together because it was 25. That was our factor. So I'm going to go ahead and add these together. You'll notice I did not put a comma here in 1,860, and that's because I don't want my comma to look like a 1. I'm going to save my comma for my final answer. So here 5 plus 0 is 5. 6 plus 6 is 12. So I'm going to put the 2 down, and I'm going to carry the 1 here to my next column, my hundreds column. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 8 more is 13. And we're going to carry the 1 next door. Don't want it to get lost. That's why I circle it. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Now I'm going to throw my comma in since it's my final answer. 2,325. Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take that strategy and I'm going to push it over to a 3 by 2 digit. Every step is exactly the same. The only difference is it's like 2 3 by 1 problems instead of 2 2 by 1 problems. So let's take a look here. All right, step 1, we're going to go ahead and multiply by the digit in the ones place first, which is the 4. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 9 is 36. Put the 6 down. Carry the 3. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 more would be 15. And you'll notice everything is lined up brilliantly. Do you guys see how great I did lining each digit up with a place value spot? So now I am done multiplying by the digit in the ones place. So essentially, this is the answer to 392 times 4. But that's not the problem. It's 392 times 64. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cleanse the problem. And this is going to be really important. I'm sorry, I cannot write very neatly here. So I'm done with the 4. I'm done with anything the 4 helped me make, I should say. And I need to get ready to shift over to the 6. But since that 6 is really worth 60, I need to put a 0 here so that I don't have to worry about the fact that it's 60. I can pretend it's just a 6. Since that's really all I see, I don't see it saying 60. It just looks like a 6. So that's why we put that 0 there. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab my red pen, and we're going to now move over to that 6. We're going to multiply by the digit in the tens place. And this is the step where most kids fall apart. Because if you remember, this 6 needs to attack the 2, the 9, and the 3. And a lot of people will forget to attack the 9. So let's go through it. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to put the 2 down. Now, the 2 is in the ones place. So the 1 from the 12 needs to go directly next door. A lot of people will throw that 1 too far. We go directly next door when we carry over. Now we're going to do 6 times 9, which is 54. Plus 1 is 55. So we're going to put a 5 here from 55, and the other 5 is going to go directly next door. And hopefully you can see why we had to cross off that 3. It could get really confusing. Now the 6 needs to attack the 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 5 more, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We're going to put the 3 here and the 2 here since there's nothing left. And then, of course, last but not least, we needed to make sure that we lined everything up well, because our final last step is to combine both parts of our answer. We're going to add these amounts together. So I'm going to go ahead and do an 8 plus 0 is 8, 6 plus 2 is 8, 5 plus 5 is 10. So I'm going to make sure I carry that 1 directly next door. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5, and 2. And now I'm going to stick my comma in. I get 25,088. Now, estimating would be great right now to make sure my answer makes sense. 392 is about 400, and 64 is about 60. So if I do 400 times 60, and I do a little box and dot action here, I know 4 times 6 is 24 with 1, 2, 3 zeros. You can see, guys, that my answer of 25,088 is really not very far off from my estimate. Most people forget the cleansing step. They forget to add that 0. If I had forgotten to add that 0, my answer would have been so far from my estimate, I would have had a pretty good clue that I made a huge mistake. So that's 2-digit standard algorithm. Think to yourself, does this make sense to you?